Hello and welcome to Summer Sports Transfer Centre. And for the last hour of this transfer deadline, we're going to run down some of the biggest deals happening right now and keep you apprised of the deals done during this window in the Championship. And in that vein, and to kick things off, we understand that Cadiz have just made an offer for Frank Ziegler of £1.7 million, and Solihull Moors have rejected that bid. Meanwhile, a bit of news that happened earlier in the day, Levante have signed Fernando Pacheco from Alves for a fee believed to be in the region of £22 million. It's a big move for the goalkeeper and hopefully he will do Levante proud. Meanwhile, Newcastle are obviously using some of that Saudi money that's just arrived at the club as they've signed a deal with Josef Martinez and Roma that means that the striker lands at St James's Park for £33.8 million. Meanwhile, Memphis Depay has turned his back on a frustrating spell at Borussia Dortmund and he is on his way to Juventus instead. It's believed that the Italian giant have paid around £58.1 million for his services. Aranjanet Muric has decided that Championship football really isn't for him and he's going to leave Nottingham Forest for a fee of £5.8 million in favour of Santos. Nikola Vlasic will be plying his trade in League One from now on as a deal has been struck between CSKA Moscow and Monaco that will see the Croatian move for a whopping £47.6 million. Meanwhile, at the other end of the spectrum, Solihull Moors youth academy prospect Jules de Smet has joined former Warsaw boss Dean Keats at Wrexham in a deal that's worth £270,000. Yusuf Poulsen returns to the Bundesliga with Schalke having not had the best of times at Sevilla. The Dane has reportedly cost them £25.7 million. Lascelles is on the move again. This time he'll head to League One, having signed a deal worth £21.7 million with Lyon, leaving Brighton to look for a replacement. Portuguese international right-back Nelson Semedo will leave Liverpool for £37.5 million in a deal that has been done with RB Leipzig. Wabiri Kuluk's move to Brentford has been completed from Solihull Moors with the Djiboutian costing around £5 million. It's believed that that deal took a little while to put together, with Brentford's first bid a little bit lower, closer to the £4 million mark, but they have got that deal across the line and he will be playing for Brentford from here on in. Okay, and we're hearing that a number of Manchester City players have been threatening to depart before the window closes. They're totally unhappy with the performances both on and off the field. And the first of those stars we're just hearing has left the club. It's their young starlet Phil Foden, as he's just signed on the dotted line with Liverpool in a deal worth £57.2 million. Diego Jota's on the move again in Germany, having already moved to Borussia Dortmund. He's now making a move to Wolfsburg in a deal worth a staggering £61 million. Wow, news just in that another Manchester City man will be leaving, and this is perhaps even more of a surprise than Foden. Kevin De Bruyne has just been unveiled by Real Madrid, with the Belgian costing the Spanish giants £61.3 million. That is a huge signing for Real Madrid and a massive loss for Manchester City. Okay, it's turning into quite the mad end to this transfer window as it's become a trio of deals, all of the big players leaving Manchester City right in the end of this window, leaving them with no alternative to be able to go and sign new players, new blood for the rest of the season. It's Hakim Ziyech now that's also part of this Manchester City exodus as he makes way to Atletico Madrid, £46.5 million. Absolutely unbelievable scenes here in the Summer's Sports Transfer Centre on deadline day. Have we just seen the beginning of the end for Guardiola's reign at Manchester City? So let's concentrate on the transfers happening over in the Championship, and Birmingham City have only sold players in this window. Harding leaves the club for £3.3 million and nobody has come in the other direction. Meanwhile, over at Blackburn Rovers, they've sold players as well but not actually bought anybody in. Nyambe and Samuel leaving for £7.42 million combined. and as I say, nobody has come through the door for them in exchange. Over at Brentford, however, there's going to be a total change in their lineup, as they've sold one of their players for £18.7 million, but bought in 2 new talents. £5 million is what they paid for Kulux. That means £8.5 million has gone on Villalba, and they'll be hoping that that will drag them further up the table and towards a promotion spot. Over at Bristol City, there has been no deals on the table whatsoever. Cardiff City have been on the spend, having purchased Ramon for £8.3 million. They haven't had to give up any squad space, though, to get that deal over the line, and no players have left Cardiff City in the opposite direction. Meanwhile, at Derby County, no acquisitions for them, but they have sold Muniz for £15.6 million. Over at Fulham, much the same, no players in, but they have sold both Taylor and Marshall for a combined value of £22.1 million. No player purchases for Huddersfield, but they have sold Henry for £13.1 million. Hull have done a virtual swap in terms of money. They bought in Vivian Morano for £6.6 million and sold De Vige for £6.9 million. Leeds have grabbed themselves a free transfer in the form of Caceres, but they have sold for profit £18.3 million worth of players. Sanchez and Jean are out of the door at Leeds, and obviously with them in a precarious position during this early phase of the Championship season, they'll hope that Caceres will be what they need to be able to drive themselves back up the table. Middlesbrough might not have spent big, but Oshilaja has joined the ranks for £1.9 million, but nobody has gone out the door for them in the opposite direction. Over at Millwall, it's only a sale on the table. Endo has left the club for £6.6 million. Tremarny has been signed by Norwich for £1.8 million, but the biggest deal in the Championship so far comes in the form of Cook leaving Norwich for £26.2 million. Nottingham Forest have purchased themselves Suarez for £11.7 million, and Muric, as we know, has gone to Santos for £5.8 million. Pompey are happy with what they've got at the moment. No players in, no players out. They haven't had a very busy window at all, aside from trying to keep hold of their better talent. It's the same deal for Preston North End. No players in and no players out for the team. QPR haven't looked to strengthen their squad, but they have lost a player in the form of Easy. He's gone for £22.6 million, a big money deal. Over at Reading, there's just one player out the door, which is Howe, and he's gone for £900,000. Rochdale have acquired a little bit extra talent in the form of Hunter and Aguirre. That's cost them £2.3 million, but they have sold Belic for £1.9 million. Sheffield Wednesday have purchased Matheson for £3.2 million, but haven't actually sold anybody in this window. And in terms of the amount of deals done, Solihull Moors definitely lead the way there, having seen a number of their players go out the door: Allen, Berglund, Willems, De Smet, Kulak, all of which will probably be put towards their move to the bigger stadium. And that is probably why they haven't spent anything in this window either, but they have managed to get a deal done late in the day for a free agent. Medine joins them and will bolster their squad as they look to push forward through the rest of the season. Swansea have been pretty busy. 3 players out the door: Nordfeldt, Roberts and Karavayev, which totals a profit of £16.58 million. They've spent £4 million of that, though, on Wakizaka, as they look to just improve where they perhaps lost out with those signings going out the door. The Baggies have been busy too, signing McGeon for £9.4 million, whilst Johnson has gone out the door for £16.4 million. And last but certainly not least is Wigan. £3.25 million spent on 2 players, Weah and Saventovic, and they haven't actually sold anybody in this window. So there we go, lads. A quick rundown of all of the deals that have been done in the Championship. Right guys, there we go. A totally different way to see the transfer window, and certainly the last hour of it, and some fantastic deals there that we saw going on with Manchester City at the end of that window that's probably going to have a huge impact on their squad going into the next part of the season. Obviously Solihull Moors didn't have a great amount of money to spend going into the window because of the stadium upgrade, But nonetheless, I think this was a good way of you being able to see what was going on in the save. I hope you enjoyed the format. Let me know, give me some feedback. But nonetheless, if you did, slap a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, but for now, I'm out of here.